Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coaches. Today, this Friday, the day of a game. So yes. Depending on how quickly my editing skills, how much better I get at that, this might be out either before the Pratt game later today, or we might be covering that later, and we'll cover that later in the podcast.
Fantastic.
But for the men's, today we're going to be talking, for this particular podcast, we're going to be talking about the women's soccer team, yes, which, Coach Schicke, we've got a 2-0 team coming in already in the season.
Yeah. It's nice that we're putting the ball in the net. There's a lot of things that need to be ironed out and sharpened up, but it's nice to be a couple games in and to be scoring goals at least.
I don't know how it works necessarily in soccer, but in basketball, when the offense is clicking, everybody's attitude it makes it easier to get to practice. Everybody's always enthusiastic. Points are fun to score. Mm-hmm. And so you guys have an 11-4 goal differential through 2 games and have had 4 different players put the ball in the net. So what has that been like just from an enthusiasm standpoint so far?
You're absolutely right. I mean, in soccer, 90 minutes long, sometimes you're seeking opportunities to celebrate, and so goals are obviously those. And so we've had a lot of new girls, freshmen, scoring goals, and so that's exciting because sometimes it takes a while for them to kind of get going. That's the attacking players. But to be fair, Zach, I always knew we were going to score goals this year. It was how well are we going to defend?
That is, I think, the best coaching response ever. It's like yeah, we're 2-0, we're outscoring our opponents by 7 goals. We're not where we want to be.
Nah, not at all. And that's not to be arrogant at all. It's just that 11-4 goal differential sounds great, except for if you just look at it that we've given up 4 goals in 2 games.
Yeah. Always searching to get better, always searching to be your best, and giving up 4 goals probably isn't what isn't the best this team can be, right? There's a lot of potential there there's a lot of talent on that field. So we're only 2 games into the season, but you guys had fall camp. I know you guys work really hard. What can you kind of take us through that? How you guys shaped up, and then early kind of practices early into this season?
Well, I'd say I was probably least liked this preseason out of most of mine because we had very high expectations coming into this year, and we didn't come in fit. And so we had to spend legitimate time, training sessions, getting fit, which is always frustrating for me as a coach because we'd like for them to do some of that work in the summer coming in, and some of them did. That's not to say that we were all a bunch of donut eaters coming in, but we weren't anywhere we needed to be on our fitness tests. And of course, when you're here and you're training 3 times a day and you're not playing a whole lot of football during that time, that can get frustrating for the girls. And so I've got a fantastic women's assistant this year, and she played for me years ago. She knows the kind of fitness requirements that I'd like to uphold. And she's fresh out of college, NCAA Division II. So she's got new and fantastic ideas on how to help the girls fit. And I think that was crucial because I might have become a little bit stagnant in how I'm working the kids out. I've been doing it so long. And so Carly brought a kind of fresh way to make them run. And so that was nice. But the fitness was the number one concern starting a week or so in, and we're still not where we want to be.
Soccer is a world game, but I think even someone like me who just has grown up in Southeast Kansas, I've lived here all my life, even I understand that being a donut eater as an athlete is not a positive phrase. So.
Yeah, I agree. You're spot on with that, Zach. Spot on.
But, it just being a part of the broadcast team, catching you guys recently played at home against NEO, and just being kind of behind the scenes when you come out to practice or some of your photo shoots, it seems like even if they might have been unhappy with you, your girls kind of get along, and there's good teamwork there, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for each other. Again, you've got 4 different goal scorers, sharing the ball, sharing kind of the locker room with each other is something that looks to be a positive from an outsider.
Yeah. Well, I'd be lying to you if I told you every year all my kids get along. But I would like to say that we've done a good job in the past of kind of creating a chemistry, a vibe, if you will, that can be infectious, can be contagious. And I really love what I do. I went to school here. There's a lot of passion that I have, but I recruit the kind of kids that wanna come in. Some of these kids have been overlooked. There's a couple girls that are on your list here that have been doing well, that weren't recruited the way that they should have been, and they feel valued here. I value them tremendously, and so I think that they do. They get along. They like to be Red Ravens.
And it takes a certain kind of person just to even be an athlete at the junior college level. Again, sometimes you're under recruited, sometimes you're here for a very other good reason. I do have a list of players, and honestly, Coach, and we kind of talked about this before we started recording, I'm going to let you read off the names because I don't want to embarrass any more than I already have the potential to these fantastic players you have.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. They probably appreciate that as well. I guess first on your list here, you've got Christine Kaganya Kitaro. She's a Kenyan national player, a sweet young lady, freshman, a true freshman too. She's an 18-year-old girl. She scored the 4 goals in the season opener. She scored her first one about 42 seconds into the match. So she started off lit. She's a quick girl. She's a speedy player, very good with her feet, and I expect her to hopefully to light up the scoreboard this year. That's what we're hoping for. And then I'm not going to say her first name because hopefully she watches this and appreciates it for it. But this is Izzy Attenborough, affectionately known to the girls as Izzy and myself. I try not to use her formal first name unless she's in trouble because she doesn't like it, even though it's a beautiful name. But Izzy, we brought her in at semester in January, so she's a freshman, but she got a chance to meet some of these returning girls, and there's only 5 returning players. But I mean, they're thick as thieves, her and those girls. And then the fact that it's still her freshman season as well, she kind of works as that bridge that kind of connects with the girls who just got here in August, because Izzy's not new to CCC, but she's brand new to college soccer. And she's a good player. She's ambidextrous, left or right foot, and she's tall. She's 5'11", easily. So then Ashley Countryman is actually from Claremore, Oklahoma. I'm not sure if I mentioned that Izzy's English.
Okay.
But Ashley's from Claremore, Oklahoma, which is right up the road. We've had a lot of success with kids from Claremore. As you may remember, our graduating goalkeeper from last year's team, Briley Brasher, is a Claremore girl. And so we've got 2 girls from Claremore on this team, a goalkeeper as well, Katie Joe. Given
how widely you recruit across the world, I think Claremore counts as local for us.
Absolutely. In women's soccer, our geography really hampers us because there's no high schools in our area, anywhere within 60 miles in Kansas, that have women's only soccer teams.
Yep.
And so Tulsa, everything from here to 169 up to Tulsa it's local. We've had great success with them. I've got good relationships with the Oklahoma Premier Football Club's director and things like that. And so you're absolutely right that she's local. And Ashley is she's coming off the bench and providing a spark. And then sophomore, the one sophomore you've got listed here on this is Gabriela Rodriguez, and she's not new to the program. She was an all-conference girl last year. And Gabby has had a fantastic preseason. We really had a lot of work to do to be able to make it possible for her to be back this year. It's not easy on her or her family back in Brazil, and so she's been paying it forward. The way that she trains, the way that she leads the girls. She's easy to follow. She's 5'10", but the way she plays is at a high level. She trains at a high level, and that was something that I had spoken to her in the offseason last year about if she could bring 100% to the training grounds, how much better she would get. And this one goal is not indicative of the impact that she made in either of the two performances. She did have a goal and an assist in the last game, a cheeky little back heel inside the 18 to free up a goal for Anna Ruiz. And she makes a lot of plays that you just don't see a lot of women's soccer players make. She scored a bicycle kick last season inside the 6. So she's a fancy player. We like Gabby.
Well, now that you mentioned the assist, I know exactly the play you're talking about, because that is the play of the game that up in the broadcast booth, we're like, can we run that replay again? Can we look at it again? Can we just, because that's a next level type of play. Just to have that vision and the natural talent to be able to pull that off.
Yeah, and it's getting people involved too. Gabby had already netted a goal at that point. She's a starter. She contributes at a high level. On the field at that time was a couple girls who had been coming off the bench who are good players, but still trying to find their niche. And Gabby, almost to her own dismay, goes out of her way to get some of those girls involved. And we joked in the film session afterwards that Anna, who scored the goal, and it was a good goal, but she mishit it. She very easily could have put it over the post, and we joked with her about how upset Gabby might have been if she didn't score that goal. But to be fair, Gabby wouldn't have cared. She'd have just tucked her head down and created another opportunity like that. So that's nice. She likes to get people involved, and that's fun.
Well, that just tells me that you're I don't know, lucky might not because you're the one who recruited her, but just lucky to have somebody like that in the locker room on your team on campus.
It is luck, yeah. It's absolutely luck because you don't learn things like that necessarily in the recruitment process. You may have coaches tell you all these fantastic things about people, and but until you get them and you get them here in the Ville and you get them acclimated to your system and your style and how you like things to go, yeah, you never know. So there's a bit of luck that goes into that.
I don't like doing this where you only highlight the people scoring goals, but that's just for soccer with not a lot of statistics that we have access to. That's just the easy way to highlight players. But for you, anybody on the defensive side, anybody that you want to highlight that hasn't maybe put one in the net that has impressed you so far?
Yeah, I should probably circle back to my defense because I was pretty hard on them in the opening of this segment about giving up 4 goals. But Carrie Ann Rodriguez is kind of anchoring the ship from the back line there, and she's she's 5 foot, 5'2", somewhere in that. She'll probably lean on the 5'2" part, but I'm playing her as a center back, and she's strong, she's vocal, she moves around the pitch really well, and she's a go-getter. She wins the ball with her head, and she keeps girls in line. So she's done really well. And Kaylee Fanilio is another sophomore girl who plays out on the right or left wing for me, and she's strong. She's athletic. She was Dirk and Ryan's defender of the match last game. Because she puts her body on the line. She's not afraid to jump up and head the ball. And when you do that, you put yourself in compromising positions, which means sometimes the way that if you play like Kaylee, the 48 hours after a match are hard on your body because you leave it all out there. But from a coaching staff, and I think I speak for myself and Coach Carly included, that the way that she puts it all on the line is kind of how we want other girls to follow suit. So I think those two absolutely need to be recognized. And there's the other freshman girls contributing. And if I named one, I'd have to name them all. But I'll leave it at the sophomores for that. But we've got a good group of freshman goalkeepers as well. And these 3 girls are battling it out to try and figure out who's going to be the number 1. We'll have our 3rd game on Saturday with the ladies, and we'll feature a 3rd different starter for that game.
Well, and before we get into your upcoming schedule, you only having 5 sophomores on the roster. What was that like? Because again, junior college, the turnover's high anyways. Yeah. But 5 seems small to me as an outsider.
It is small, and I was incredibly disappointed. in my ability to retain the players that I had last year to this year. To be fair, we were a 50-50 kind of group last year, freshmen and sophomores. The freshman class contributed at a high level, and the 5 girls that we got back are fantastic, and I'm so happy to have them. There was a handful of girls that should be playing on this team, but they're not, and that's okay, because we found girls to replace them, girls that want to be here, and nothing against anybody that left, but women's soccer is a strange dynamic. I'm going into my 11th season in the Jayhawk Conference, and I can tell you some of the best players I've ever seen out of the high school level, and sometimes at the 2-year level. They're done with it after a season or two.
Really?
They're not like us men when we were playing and we were convincing everybody that we were going to be God's gift to our sport, and I've just been overlooked and I'm going to make it. And then 32 years old and you go, all right, I'm going to turn it in because my knees are no good. Girls, I've seen girls hang up their boots, highly recruited Division I type girls hang up their boots senior year after their senior season and just go straight on to college.
I didn't play soccer in high school. I was a basketball player, but I went on a visit to a small KCAC school, and they had girls who were getting Division II, Division I looks because they wanted to go to that particular school for academic purposes. So sometimes, and again, as an athlete, you're like, oh, why wouldn't you go to the highest level possible? But sometimes players want to make decisions based on non-athletics.
Yes.
And it's one of those things if you have to think, as a coach especially, I imagine that's tough. But at the same time, if a player were to make that decision to go into a career that might last them their entire life or whatever, that would be something. I don't know that happened this last season, but if that were to come up, that's an adult decision. That's a mature decision.
And that's basically what it was. I had at least 4 girls that were freshmen on last year's team that wanted to be a part of what we were doing here at CCC out of high school, and probably. Maybe if I hadn't recruited them the way that I had, maybe they didn't even play soccer in college. They were good players, smart girls. I had a couple girls with ACTs, 24, 25 ACTs
Wow.
on last year's team. And, came in with 12, 14 college credits already, and we had a 14-6 season. And they go, you know what? Why not check out now? Why not let this be my lasting memory? And the best thing I could do to convince them otherwise is well, let's go to nationals next year. But girls have got a different goal in mind when they play college sports, in my opinion at least. And that's, they do it for all the right reasons.
It's hard to argue with that.
You leaned on it.
Yeah.
The ladies will make a decision that's not all football related. They'll make it based on relationships they have with the girls and with the play and the coaches, and is it an area they can picture themselves living in? And that's just something that as a women's coach I've learned to deal with. There's some girls that in the first week or so that I was very salty that they weren't here because I wanted them and I felt like I made them feel valued. But in the end, I don't think it was so much our coaching staff as much as we gave them what they were looking for, and they were okay with that.
Well, and that's what junior college is for. That's what college is for. And you're giving this year more freshman opportunities that they might not have had. And so in your team, again, 2-0, I know it's super early in the season, and you've mentioned that you would like to keep getting better, as every coach wants to, but it's a good start. And as we move on towards just further into the season, you mentioned the game tomorrow, which was recorded on a Friday, so it's coming. The game will be on Saturday at it's
at Ecclesia College.
All right, I was going to mispronounce that, so I appreciate you giving me the assist there, Coach.
No worries.
So what? Just looking forward to that game. What do you got for us?
I'd like to get everybody involved. We've still been trying to figure some things out as far as how we want to progress as a formation and which girls click the most. And so we would like to take Saturday's match as an opportunity to get better as a team and to really learn a little bit more about where everybody is going to settle in as we get more comfortable and ready for conference.
Well, and to widen up that goal differential, hopefully just one way or the other, not.
A clean
defense.
sheet is
Yes.
important. Yeah, I'll be very upset if we allow really anything, any goals. I'd like to see a 0 in net, and that'll just make things even harder for our goalkeeping situation because, like I said, we'll be starting a third different goalkeeper, and if she records a clean sheet, then she'll have that to hang over my head coach. And so, but either way, I think all three of those girls, the goalkeepers, are great young ladies, and wherever we end up positioning them as the 1, 2, and 3, they'll get the minutes they deserve and continue to get better, and they'll be around for us next year.
It seems like a tough problem to solve, but a good problem when you have talent like that. Yeah. And you mentioned conference play again. We're going to wrap up real quick. Next Wednesday on September 5th, Neosho, which I think the game's at 5 p.m. It's home here at Veterans Memorial Stadium. So anybody that wants to come check that out, please do, because again, we've had a blast covering you guys so far. And can you just talk a little bit about preparing for conference play?
There's like I mentioned before, I've been in this league for a long time. I tend to know the teams and the coaches very, very well. Neosho, with his women, he's done a fantastic job since he's taken over. He took over a program that was coming off a 0 and 18 season, and so I think the Neosho girls are hungry, always hungry, and overlooked. And so we recruit out of some of the same areas too. I mean, they're only 45 minutes up the road from me. And last year, I had a young lady on my team, and her twin sister was on Neosho's team. That's somewhat unheard of. Yep, and they're both from Arkansas. So it'll be a tough challenge for us. My assistant coach, she won't be available at that time. She's been roped into a wedding in her hometown, which is in Ireland. Ooh. So she will take the flight back to the Dublin area and spend time with her family, and then jump right back over here and be back in time for our match against Butler the following week. So,
and that happened a little bit last year, if I remember correctly. You had a game where a few players had to go be a part of weddings.
That's so funny that you bring that up, Zach. You're so astute.
First of all,
it was against Neosho as well.
Was it really?
It was.
Oh, wow.
It was, and I've been. Did
you guys set that up ahead of time?
Nah, no. It was it was a recipe for disaster last year because Neosho, we split with Neosho last year, and I think that we were a team that and when you look back on it, we shouldn't have. But yeah, we had two girls that were gone for our match at Neosho, and we gave up a 2-1 lead to lose 3-2, and that was a conference loss that we couldn't afford if we were going to try and compete for one of those top 2 spots, and they made us pay. So that's why I
apologize for bringing up bad memories.
No, it's not bad memories. If anything, it's I hope the girls watch before we play Neosho, because now they know that I'm not just feeding them a line, because it just proves that you got to go into every game with a proper mindset. And the girls walked into that game a bit scared that they weren't going to have a few players, and then when they got the lead, they said, "Oh, we should be okay," and then they got punched in the mouth. And so I think it'll work as have an adverse effect because they don't want to lose when Coach Carly's going to be gone. She's done a fantastic job, and the girls really, really like her, and she loves being here. I hope I'm not speaking out of turn for you, Carly. But she's gutted that she won't be here.
Right, a good coach is always will.
Yeah, and so she probably, if I was a little bit harder on her, she probably would have made it possible so that she'd miss her family event there back in Ireland. But I don't want to get in the way of an Irish family.
Good call. Good call.
When you've kept their daughter, because she's been here for years. She's been in the States playing, and now she's doing her OPT, and so she deserves to get home. And I think it'll be something that the girls will want to play well, and they'll want to give her a result that is fitting for her absence.
Well, that I think encapsulates not only your program, but I think junior college soccer, and I think that and again, we're rooting for you the next couple of weeks. We'll love to get back with you sometime soon. Hopefully with a 4-0 record or better, and maybe a more positive talk about the point differential. So
that's what we're working on. That's the focus.
Well, thank you, Coach. Thank you for coming by, and again, good luck for the coming week.
Thanks, bud.